Welcome everybody. You are tuned in to the Trader Roundup, where highly attuned, like-minded traders come together to become 1% stronger each and every day. Today's podcast, as you know, it's live. So I'm super excited about today because we have some honored guests, and some of them you may know who they are, some of them you may not. So we're going to do some intros and going to introduce them to you all. And these are queens of the industry. These are female traders. This is the first time on a live podcast where we have such talented, experienced, and professional traders. And finally, we get to hear from women about trading. And so it's really going to be a jam-packed session today. We're going to go for about the next 2 hours, I would say. There's going to be different guest speakers coming in and out during the next 2 hours. So tune in, take note, get ready, because we're also going to have a Q&A. So there'll be opportunity for you to ask your questions on the latter part of the podcast. So let's start introducing everyone. Welcome. Wow. Look at this panel. So let's do a couple of intros. I'm here joined by my co-host Jacob FX. How you doing, bro?
I'm good, man. How's everybody doing?
Good.
Yeah.
How are you?
Good.
Doing great. So let's go for some intros. Don't bite my head off if I get this wrong, all right, ladies? So we'll start off with Anna. Say hello, Anna. Give us a wave.
Hello, everyone.
Good. So this is Anna. So she's currently a content creator for TFT, and she has a genuine passion about exploring mindset of best performing traders, and is religiously studying the human mind. So perfect that you're here with us, because we're going to be talking about dealing with drawdown, and so Anna has studied behavioral patterns, and her love and beyond her love for trading and personal development has motivated her to become an influencer to motivate and empower women in this male-dominated industry. Welcome, Anna.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Good. It's a pleasure and an honor. Next, we have Mads. How you doing, Mads? Mads, sound's gone. Let's fix that. So whilst you fix that, I'm going to introduce you. So Madison is a seasoned trader with a remarkable 8-year journey in the industry. And she's been navigating through ever-changing tides of the market. She has a wealth of experience and is a formidable force because she has dedicated herself to full-time trading, is an esteemed mentor and influential content creator for a prestigious prop firm, Bespoke, as we know. And additionally, she serves as an esteemed co-founder of FX Connect, and that's how we finally got to meet at the networking event in London that was hosted. So Madison's having a bit of a technical issue, so we'll come back to you shortly. Katie, hey Katie.
Hey.
Kate, how are you?
Good, thank you.
Good.
You can hear me, right?
Kate, you mind putting your mic closer to you? Is that possible?
That's
Yeah,
it.
there you go.
Perfect.
Better?
Yeah.
So Katie Rose is an accomplished trader. She utilizes her trading skills to generate passive income cash flow, and uses that cash flow to invest in other business ventures, and is also a co-founder of FX Connect, where again I had the pleasure, and JCat had the pleasure of being on the panel and speaking at your first event. It was such a huge success. So really pleased to have you here. And
Thank you for having me on.
we
Can you hear me now, guys?
Yeah. Yep.
Yes, well, you're back. You're
I'm back.
back. All right. Hopefully, I've been doing your intros okay.
Perfect. Thank you.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, good, good. Elise, are you on? Is your mic on? Okay, so you need to connect your mic, Elise. Sounds like you got a technical issue there. I will introduce you regardless whilst you fix your mic. So Elise is an accomplished full-time trader and has dedicated the last 5 years of her life mastering the art of trading. She has an impressive track record and has solidified her position as a private fund seven-figure trader. And she's achieved remarkable results in the financial markets and has an unwavering commitment to her craft and deep understanding of market dynamics, which has propelled her in her career as a trader. And today we are going to be learning a lot from Elise's perspective and her experience, not only in the markets, but also in how to deal with drawdown, how to deal with recovering from the emotional drawdown, the actual technical and strategic drawdowns that we get and when we experience. So in today's podcast, today's topic is really about that. It's dealing with these emotional drawdowns, and it's something that we as traders we have to deal with. There's no getting around drawdowns. It's practically impossible. So how do we actually deal with this? So my question to the panel, and we'll start off with Anna. Anna, so what sort of what usually happens when you go into drawdown? Like, what do you experience? What are sort of typical sort of emotional reactions and responses? What usually happens to you and traders in your experience when they go through these drawdown periods?
Drawdown periods are challenging for everyone, especially for beginner traders. The way how I used to react on drawdowns before was different from how I react now, because I learned the hard way by blowing a couple of accounts. And I understood that I have to have a plan on how to deal with the drawdown. So something that should be part of your trading plan is also having a plan on how to deal with the drawdown. Something that I used to experience before was not being real-time self-aware and having a crazy urge of trading and just pressing the button for no reason. Yeah, blowing accounts. But with time, I have kind of developed a way on how to deal with it better. And there are so many factors that we have to pay attention to. So first thing is definitely being aware of the situation that you are into and of your emotions. We have to know our system really well and to know how many losses in a row is it normal to experience. So as long as we're in as long as we have losses that we are expecting according to our system, things are fine, and you just have to stick to your plan and your rules. But we are human beings and we're making mistakes. So part of the trading of the plan, of the risk management plan, should be also giving your space some room, giving yourself some room for human errors and other unexpected things like slippage or something similar. Before we get into a drawdown, we should be prepared. And one way how I manage to deal with the drawdown is by lowering my risk. As soon as I notice that I'm into a drawdown, I'm lowering my risk, and I'm taking a step back. Something that is very important is to have a journal, and not to journal only your trades, but to journal your emotions before a trade, while you're in a trade, and after a trade. Because in that way, you will be able to notice those similar patterns that are leading to bad mistakes. So before I didn't used to do that, but when I realized that my real-time self-awareness is not the best, and it's definitely really hard to achieve real-time self-awareness. We can be self-aware, but it's different from being in general self-aware and be real-time self-aware. When we are not real-time self-aware, we are not in the present moment, and we can't recognize that our behavior is changing. So that's why preparation is something that is very important. And by writing a journal, by writing about your emotions, you kind of try to put your focus on understanding how you're feeling at the moment. So when you write about your feelings, it's much harder to of course it's always easy to just forget about everything and get a blockage in your head and do something stupid. But when you try to write about your emotions, you're kind of focused on analyzing your current state and sticking to your plan. But let's say if the drawdown happens, which happens most of the times when a deep drawdown happens when we don't follow our rules and we don't stick to our plan. And in such cases, I usually take a break, not for a day or two. I take a break for a week, and I go and review my trades to see if the losses were probabilistic or it's something with my behavior. And most of the times it's the behavior. It's actually with the deep drawdown, it's always the behavior. It's never the probabilistic game that is in play. So when I see which are the patterns that are leading to a mistake, I try to ask myself, because I've written all the emotions that I felt. I try to ask myself always, when did I experience such kind of emotion in my life? Like not in trading, not when I experienced similar feeling when I again was in the deep drawdown, but in life. Because I believe that lots of the things that we do on the charts, it's something that is coming from inside of us. So we are trying to fight with some inner issues, and we are not even aware of them. And this is something that is quite hard to realize yourself, because it's seated in our subconscious mind. So you have to really ask yourself questions and think deeper into your subconscious mind to understand where all these problems are coming from. So, for example, impulsiveness. I would ask myself, when have I been impulsive in my life? Like in which event? What triggered my impulsiveness? So when I understand the roots of my impulsiveness in other events in my life, that's when I try to kind of work to accept. First of all, we have to accept that we are in a drawdown, to accept the bad feeling, because many people want to avoid this bad feeling, and the thing that they do is they think that, okay, if I higher my risk, I hope that the next trade, I lost so many trades in a row, and I'm going to higher my risk, and this trade is going to recover my losses. And what we end up doing is just causing more pain and ending up in an even deeper drawdown. So something that is very important is also to, first of all, accept that, okay, the money are lost. I should not think of what I've done. I have to think of now and how I should react in the future. So when that's the case, to go back into the behavioral patterns, this is something that I would definitely recommend to everyone, to have either a coach, a mental coach, or an accountability partner, so that you can talk about the emotions and the things, and they can ask you questions, because it's really hard to understand what is in your subconscious mind by yourself, because it's in your subconscious mind. So you need someone to ask you the right questions for you to understand what kind of inner issue you're trying to fight.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So with that, it's a long process. It's not something that you can just work on in a week and then it's over. And things are coming over and over again. That's why it's important to always journal everything. And as soon as you recognize that the same behavioral patterns are coming back, you should be directly alert and seek for help and for support from a mentor, from a coach, or from other experienced traders that already been through this path.
Yeah, it seems like what you said there. It seems like there's an entire process or a systematic approach to dealing with and understanding your emotions, understanding where they're triggered, and this systematic approach. It's where you know it's so difficult to try and find and figure out what is the systematic approach. But then you mentioned obviously reaching out to a mentor, reaching out to some sort of coach that can obviously has the experience and understands these things. So in terms of coaching,
self-talk is also very important. When you start with negative self-talk, you just that's the formula for disaster.
oh yeah, absolutely. But like recognizing it, having some sort of a system to record it, it's almost like being aware of it, being mindful of it. It kind of reduces its power, doesn't it? Because all right, I'm aware that I'm feeling angry, I'm a little bit impulsive, but this is what I need to do about it. There needs to be some sort of solution or anything like that. So my question now to the panel, and just raise your hand if you want to answer, is in your trading and in your work, have you noticed any differences in working with female traders, and the differences between female traders and male traders in terms of being aware of their emotion? Is that something that there's differences, or is it something that there needs to be more practice? Like, have you noticed anything in the traders that you mentor and the traders that you've worked with? Like, how do female traders show awareness of their emotion? Because
don't hold back. Don't hold back.
Yeah. All right. Go on, Katie. I see your hand up.
I'm gonna lose my train of thought. Anyway, I was gonna say, I feel like obviously women are more emotional humans anyway, but I feel like we take more calculated risks, so are a lot more impulsive than women. So for me, I don't really know a lot of female traders, only Mads really, but I feel like we're more calculated and we step back and we actually handle our own self emotions before we just go and enter a trade. But like most men, I think personally, just from like seeing stuff on Twitter, Instagram, and like watching people on YouTube, I feel like most men chase the money, whereas like women just control their emotions and just allow them for everyone. But I feel like women control their emotions differently, and this can be utilized in trading a lot better.
So give me an example of, let's say, when you were trading and you noticed that you had high emotional sort of a reaction. It could be a highly positive emotion or highly negative. What is your process in order to identify it, and then what is your process to do something about it?
Okay, so as an example, so especially in my first year, revenge trading was like a big thing that I was battling with, and it's only when I was like, okay, step off, and it's actually looking inwards for me, like looking at myself and where I know that I need to correct myself, and then come onto the charts and just wait for like my alerts and my setups to be on point and not just try and chase the money. I feel like that's helped me as like dealing with my chase to trade and lose more money in a negative way, I'll say.
So now you have a process for dealing with revenge trading.
Yeah, I don't do that no more. I mean, I probably have took a loss on gold, and I was like, I've got to make this money back. But now I feel like I'm more like calm now. I'm quite a calm person, so I feel like I utilize this in trading. I only take trades if there's a setup for me, and if I have my, so I don't just chase the money no more. Whereas in my first year, I was like, yeah, I got to get this bag. Let me just chase the money. I don't do that no more.
Yeah, I've dealt with revenge trading myself, and I recognize revenge trading is because I've got a crazy story actually. I used during my uni, when I was studying psychology, a couple of friends of mine invited me to the West End to go to the casinos, and at this time I had
I know where this is going.
Yeah, at the time, all I had was my university loans, I had some bursaries. Basically, I went into that casino and I ended up flipping the money. And I was like, this is amazing. Next weekend, did the same thing, lost a little bit. That's okay. Next weekend, did the same thing, lost everything. Like, it was literally during that time when that was like losing everything. I remember it was this strong sense of, right, I need to make this money back. I have to do whatever it takes to get this money back today. And so years later, when I started trading, I experienced the similar sort of feelings of, I need to get this money back. I was like, hold on a minute. I've been here before. Like, this is pure gambling. Like, I'm trying to get back. I'm trying to get revenge. I'm trying to get my money back, but this is not the way. This is clearly, I'm going down the wrong path. So what can I do about it? So yeah, there is when it comes to revenge trading, I think as a trader, as you mature as a trader, you realize and start recognizing these things. Is what Anna was saying earlier, right? Understanding what triggers the emotion, what is the root cause of it, where else does that revenge come from, where else is it apparent in my life, and then, okay, so what can I do about it in my trading? And so yeah, this kind of process is absolutely key. But my question again to the panel is that, are there differences in the type of emotions that men and women have?
Are you able to hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So I do have
Awesome.
something to say about this. What I will say is, we just spoke about revenge trading, which definitely happens. What I've seen is people going on tilt. Okay, so it's pretty much the same as revenge trading, but to me, tilt is like, just risk is out of the window, the count is gone. And all traders, of course, deal with it. But I've seen men trade on tilt really bad when they take a loss, especially if they've had a really good winning streak and their confidence has been built. It's like that one loss, it just wrecks them. And I think a lot of it had to do with taking the loss personally, as opposed to like just seeing it as what it is. It's a simple loss with the risk that you have set. And it doesn't mean obviously that woman can't go on tilt. Anybody can go on tilt, but a lot of it has to do with, kind of just being sensitive and whatnot. But I think a lot of times when we have larger losses, we take it out like outside of the market sometimes. We will trade a little bit, but eventually we're going to stop ourselves and be like, okay, this is ridiculous. We're going to assume, see, the difference maybe is the confidence factor. We tend to underassume that we're not doing well when we're actually doing great. And so a lot of times I see men will assume that they're doing better than they are. And so typically that's the difference of mindset that I've seen between male and female traders. Neither one of them is a good or bad thing, right? It's just something you have to work with, because I think both of them can work against you. But that would be the main difference that I've seen.
Yeah, I'll add something in there as well. I think obviously as women, we go through certain things that men don't. So sometimes we have the time of the month where our emotions are very much heightened. And if I look back at my track record, I can see that the week leading up to and the very beginning, my trading is absolutely atrocious. Wow, because the level of emotion is a lot higher. So if I take a loss during that week leading up, which girls, like our emotions are very high and leading up to that. If I take a loss during that time, I'm instantly mad about it. I'm like, why did I enter that? I'm going back in it. I'm like, well, this happened. That didn't even make sense. Why did I do that? So then I'm mad at myself, but then I'll out on the charts instead. So I've learned now to kind of take a step back from the charts and from trading in that week leading up to that time of the month, because I know emotionally I can't handle it. So men don't have to go through that. Whereas obviously women, we pretty much have no choice. Like we have to deal with those emotions.
Actually, we mentioned about it. I mentioned about it on the call with Rodrigo last week.
Yeah.
I'm also like noticing different behavior in different periods of the month, and repetitive behavior. but I don't have so much experience. I haven't been talking with many female traders, so I can't say what is a common thing with females and what is a common thing with males from personal experience. But from what I've been like studying and reading for different researches, we as females are more aware of our emotions than males. So I think that this is kind of an advantage that we have. So we are more aware, but we're more emotional at the same time.
Yeah.
So there are always like pluses and minuses that we have to like deal with.
Yeah.
And I think that it's mainly individual. Some people, like, we can't say that women are more aware than men. There are men that are more aware than many women, and there are women that are more aware than many men. So it's very individual. That's why every single reaction of the market, you should dig and find we behave the same way, but the root cause for every behavior is different. So I think that when it comes to like working on the emotional part, everyone should focus on themselves individually. And of course, taking aspects for females, we should definitely think of the hormonal changes that we're going through every single month.
100%. And I think also, as well, this is something that's just coming to my mind, but I think it's hard to kind of differentiate between male traders and female traders, because I think, and girls, correct me if I'm wrong if I'm saying this, but I personally feel like to be a trader and to kind of make it in this industry, we have to be a certain type of woman. Like, speaking personally, I will very much admit that I have a bigger ego than some of my female friends that don't trade. And I would say I'm a bit of an alpha. And I don't think you can really make it in this industry if you don't have that about you. So maybe not acting as a man, because we're very aware that we are women and we're not men. But we do have some very male traits, I would say, to kind of make it in this industry. So I think it's sometimes kind of hard to differentiate between, like, let's say take a normal female who's very feminine and kind of does very feminine things and compare that with a female trader. I think the balance is definitely off. So I don't know. What do you
do you find it like hard to, I guess, find other female traders to like grow with and study with?
Yeah, I think there's just not enough of us. Like, we are very much like a small percentage in the whole trading field. And I think
think about the stats, right?
To, like,
yeah,
the
I mean,
stats
I think it's
of like how
right?
small it is with traders in general, and then take the females and take that same percentage.
Like, you
So
guys
people
are
that we
really
may have started trading with may already not be trading, and it's like it just falls off, and then it's like you got your two OGs, and you're like, I love y'all, we still in here, but
literally, yeah. Well, you have to have that like thick skin and that kind of ego to make it. Sorry, Katie.
So I don't know when to come in. I was going to say, because obviously it's so male dominated as well. I feel like a lot of people, obviously, people fail quickly and they just walk away once they start taking losses and stuff. They start thinking it's a scam. But I feel like women come into it, they could possibly lose money and they'll just be like, yeah, no, this ain't for me. Give up straight away, because some women don't have the mental strength. Whereas like obviously men, they're like known for doing like the hard type of work. But then there's also an advantage.
We don't like losing, so like, you know, if we're terrible traders, it's like a really big ego hit if we just decide to stop trading. Do you know what I mean?
So that's sort of what I was getting at before.
Like just smash our computers.
Yeah.
But I mean,
like
this is the thing.
Women, you have
I've
to like
definitely thrown a phone over iPad now and then. Like,
oh no,
it's very much ego. Yeah.
I'll just go work out hard. I'm like, no, I've got to work out harder.
Right. Sorry, I think there's a little lag on my end. I think like with women, we really have to work on building up our confidence, and then with men, it's like, okay, hold on a little
pushing
bit.
that ego,
right?
But I think that's actually a good thing. That's
so...
what we can learn from each other, right? For me, since I've always been only female, it's like beginning when I was lacking my confidence, I was like, wow, you know, they're really out there doing this, even though they have no clue what they're doing, right? So, because then what I started to see is like in the beginning specifically is what I'm referencing is like when I was really studying intensively and I was still felt completely new and novice and unexperienced, which I was. But I saw people with the same amount of experience just, you know, really confident in what they're doing. And even though they technically weren't, I kind of was also like, wow, that really just really interesting. Like maybe I should just believe in myself a little bit more and really be able to bet on myself. And I think really trading always comes down to that anyways, regardless of your sex, is are you able to bet on yourself and then make decisions on that? So, you know, so a lot of times, you know, I've actually have taught some students previously, male, female, whichever. And I think a lot of time, both sexes will definitely have analysis paralysis, but I do want to touch this because someone in the chat was mentioning about like, do you ever just kind of sit on your trades and not take the trade? My biggest thing that I was telling my students at that time was like, even if you just take a 0.01, I need you to take every single trade, right? Eventually you're going to see either you're doing well or you're not, regardless. But it's like, if you can't risk a few pennies, you know what I mean? Like, even if you have a $300 account, you can do 0.01. So my biggest thing was like, just make sure you're in the market and doing the trades. Eventually in time, you know, your confidence will build. So a lot of times you end up actually surprising yourself, right? So you've already created all the worst scenarios possible in your head, and anxiety has already taken your action, right? So it's like, if you can just, you really just have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. And that's the main thing I tell people. It's like, they want me to give them a solution to like not being uncomfortable, but I'm like, no, you just need to get used to that feeling of being uncomfortable until it eventually passes, or it just stays that way. But either way, you're learning how to deal with it, right? Because typically when we're anxious, we've already thought into the future of everything that can go wrong. It's like, okay, so there's that. You can also obviously think of the ways it can go right, you know? So I will say, this is kind of not in reference to what we're talking about specifically, but I was able to meet Lance from S&B Capital. And I think one of the things that I benefited from the most that he spoke about was foresight. He was talking about foresight and being able to like understand what's going on in the market beforehand. And so to me, that looks like that you're able to act as quickly as possible in every single scenario. But that also means when you're in the trade, you have foresight of the possibilities and how you're going to react and move on that, what happens pretty much. So that's what I try to do in terms of like, if my emotions are going crazy, it's like, okay, just, you know, practice the foresight of what you've already practiced for. And really the point that you're trading, you should just be executing.
So is this like when you mentioned foresight, is this like a visualization practice that
you can do it through visualization? That's what I do personally, but regardless whether you're actually visualizing or not, you've already kind of determined the scenarios, right? Like for him specifically, he traded equities and whatnot, so he was thinking about the scenarios of like different outcomes of news, right? So like if this happens to quarterly earnings, this is likely to happen, or this is scenario A, scenario B. And it's kind of just having foresight of expectation and then executing on it immediately as soon as you can. But that also means on the opposite side, right? Like being able to do the same in the positive and negative.
Yeah, powerful. Definitely. That having those different scenarios is really important. It's something that when I'm doing my trading, I put them on the chart itself. Like I'm like, right, if this happens, then I'm going to be doing this. If this happens, I'm going to be doing it. And I'll literally physically put it on the chart, because that way I've got that foresight and I have that expectation that there are multiple probabilities and I may be wrong, but if I'm wrong, then I understand why I'm wrong. And it's just accepting that it is all about probability in the end. So I've got another question. So raise your hand if you are a mother. Okay. So how do you deal with the responsibility of being a mother, and as well as the responsibility of being a trader? What are the, I guess, the challenges and what are the processes of you dealing with that?
I think Madison should go first. She has more than I only have one. I feel like I have one more person.
Same.
Yeah.
She has one.
I mean, I spoke about this on the podcast, and I'll be basically asking me like, what is the balance? Is there a balance? Honestly, I'm still trying to find it. It's hard. Like, I'm not gonna lie, it's hard. But at the same time, I tell myself every day, this could be so much worse. I could be having to go to work for someone else 9 to 5 and miss out on all of these important moments that I get with my kids because I'm a full-time trader. But when it comes to like the emotional side, it's difficult. I always relate it back to patience. So obviously with trading, you need to have a very high level of patience to wait for the trade, wait for the perfect execution, whatever it is. And then that kind of relates back to kids. So when you're raising kids, you have to have some level of patience, because kids are very, very testing, especially at the age mine are at the moment. They're 3 and 4. So it's very testing, I have to say. Like right now I can hear them. They're my friends downstairs looking after them, trying to keep control of them, but I can hear them. Like, but these are kind of like the sacrifices that I'm making. Like, I've chosen to be a part of this call today. My mum was supposed to have the kids, but my mum couldn't have the kids. So instead of saying, right guys, I'm sorry, I can't do it, I've had to find an alternative. And yeah, it's difficult, but like I said, at the end of the day, I could be working for someone else and missing out on so many important moments. So I just have to kind of take the positive that I'd get to spend every single day with them. As hard as that is when you're trying to analyze the charts and keep that level-headed balance. But yeah, it's
my
a
hats off
journey.
to you, Mads. My hats off to you. Massive respect. Go ahead, Katie.
Thank you.
I was going to add to it as well. Like everything you said, like on point. The patience you have to have when you have kids is just, it's different. My daughter is actually really good, and she understands like when I'm working, like I give her time. So like I make sure that I spend, when she gets home from school, she's 6. So for me, it's kind of easy. I wake up like 2 hours before her, and she understands that I have like 20 minutes before school drop off to like for market open. And I'm like, okay, cool. Now I can, when I've dropped her off, I'm either already in a trade or I'm going to come home and get in a trade. So she goes, and then I'm always analyzing the charts and studying in the evening. So I just make sure I have like she finishes school at like 3:15. Sometimes she goes to clubs, but she goes to bed at 7 p.m. every day. It might be early to some people, but she goes to bed at 7 p.m. So I just make sure I utilize the time that she's with me and give her my full focus. And if I need to do like a call or something, she's very respectful and she understands that like work is work and I'm doing everything I can for her. And I make sure that she understands that everything that I'm doing is going to give her the bit. But I think obviously it's a bit different to Mads because Mads has younger kids. When my daughter was younger, it was a lot more challenging because, especially because I was learning, I was like taking more losses and stuff when she was like 3, 4. Now she's 6. She's just turned 6. It's kind of easy for me. So I feel like I've not really got much to say about it, but I would just say that I'm kind of blessed. But it's still very hard, and you have to have that patience and separation from the charts and being a mum.
Yeah,
Wow.
I think it's important what you said as well, like about waking up before them. Like this week, I've told myself, like my discipline, like everyone knows I'm real about it on Twitter, but my discipline has been awful recently. And I said this week, like it has to change. Like I've got to be disciplined and stick to my routine, especially my morning routine. And waking up. So this morning, I woke up at 5 a.m. The kids woke up about 8, and this is the best headspace that I have been in so long. And literally just having those few hours on a morning to like for example, this morning I've got all my washing done, like put it out to dry, got what was dry folded, put another wash in, like just being able to do those really little things without the kids being there. It sets you up for the day, and then I'm able to analyze the charts and place a trade before the kids are awake. And it just kind of takes that pressure off of like trying to do all of these things while the kids are running around and you're trying to do breakfast and entertain them and all these other things. If you can just have that few hours in the morning, like for any moms that are listening, I promise it's a game changer. If you have to wake up at 5 a.m. and do it, like it makes all the difference.
Can I just add into that as well? I think as well, something that obviously I'm only speaking for myself in the sessions and pairs that I trade. But I feel like if you're someone that wants to trade, like for us, Asian session, which is obviously like in the nighttime, and that's the pairs you're trading, and you're a mum, obviously you're gonna wake up. You're most likely gonna have no patience because you've not had a lot of sleep. So I think as well, like hats off to the people that are trading in the AMs and they've got kids, because for me, I work around like my schedule, and I think most importantly, you have to find a schedule that suits you as a mum 100%.
So I actually have a question for Elise because she's based in the US, right? So I know in the UK, you guys have
My
like,
trading sessions are
you know,
rough.
you guys should have the option of, if you wanted to, get your kids ready, you know, get them all set for the day and then trade New York. Like, how is that like for you, Elise, living in the States?
Yeah. And plus I've also had the experience of trading all through my child growing up, right? I started after I had my daughter. She's 7 now, but I started, I've been trading 6 years. So it's, gone all the way from baby to toddler to where she is now. So I agree with what they're saying about most of my work was done when she was sleeping. So whether it was napping when she was a baby or once, it was a regular nightly routine. I actually did a lot of my stuff at night, to be honest, but I also, before trading, I worked third shift. So, I ended up staying a little bit later. I work a little bit better now on my sleeping schedule, but still, if she's going to bed at 8:30, even if I'm going to bed at 10:30, right, that's still 2 hours of time that I can use to study or do whatever I decide to do. When I first started trading, I was actually trading Asia session. I don't currently. I do trade New York, and now that she's in school, basically, I am able to put her on the bus and then trade afterwards. But that was only recently. And even when I was doing childcare previously, it was only when I was working like that first year. It wasn't when I was trading. So pretty much when I traded all the way up, I mean, she's only in first grade. So, what I mean? Like I was dealing with trading with her for that long period of time. So eventually, as she got, a little bit older, she understood, sort of like what Kate was saying. It's like she understood, like, this is my time to trade. So, I explained to her very early on, like, I work at home. You see everybody else leave the house, like her aunts or her granddad. I'd be like, see how they leave the house and go to work. I still work. I just happen to do it here. So this is my short window. So thankfully, even when she was home, it was a short window. I had taken down my trading hours to a certain amount of time. But I think a big part of it too, sort of like she was also saying, is making sure that you're having time with them outside of that. So basically right when she got home from school, that's when I'm, having the most time with her. Or even if it's not when I'm trading, when she was younger, it's in the afternoon. I'm making sure I'm having quality time with her. I have her outside, everything like that. So, but it took time to get her to respect that. I mean, my students used to joke about my daughter always coming in during the calls. It's like, there's your second teacher over here. But
when should I expect this to happen? Because
yeah, and it's just like, all right,
mine is still out here.
So, but everybody, men have children too, and they've also dealt with, dealing with kids. And I think someone here mentioned they can change your emotions quickly, right? So that can also be frustrating when you're trading, and then you have to recognize that as much as your own emotions, how you're reacting to that. And if it's like, if you're trading well and they're having a temper tantrum, and then you're in the market like, really pissed off, then it's like, okay, maybe I just need to take a second, calm down, and come back to the charts.
100%. And from
as
everything,
well.
yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say as well. I think as well, like, I'm a single mum, so that makes it more difficult for me because obviously, like Elise just said, if you're like, dads are parents too, and parent dads as well. But I think if you have like you're an active mum and dad both in your life, it kind of makes it easier because the other party can help you. I don't have that, so especially when I was like studying and stuff, like I find that really hard. So hats off to the single mums because it's hard.
It's hard.
100%. So I want to switch it up a little bit. Just conscious of the time. Anna's going to have to jump off very soon. So Anna, I want to ask you, because there is an audience here now, not just with the audience there's a lot of female traders actually in the chat, and I'm sure they're going to be a lot of female traders are going to be watching this podcast because it's one of a kind. And what my question to you is, speaking to that audience particularly, what advice would you give them in terms of taking trading as a career seriously, and how to deal with the emotions of being a trader, dealing with losses, but at the same time the responsibilities of being a woman in today's society? What would you say? What advice would you give the female audience?
Yeah, I would say that you should not think that if you're a female, you can't do what men can do. We can do everything that all men can do. So we should not have such kind of stereotypes that there is a profession for men and there is a profession for women. Everything is about working on your mindset and your mental strength. And when it comes to trading, you definitely need to build very strong mental. You have to have a mental strength and to be able to be successful in this career. And the beautiful part of trading is that it's not only a career that is giving you money, but it's something that is making you a better person. And it's the only profession, I think, that is pushing you so much to work on yourself, to work on your personal development and your personal growth. And that's really amazing, because I believe that many people have lots of internal issues, and many women, and trading is going to help you to solve those inner issues that you have. So if you want to work on your inner insecurities and inner issues that you have, I think that you should definitely give a shot to trading, but really understand that it's a game that is gonna take long time. It's an ongoing process. It's nothing that you just learn and you're done with it. But you just have to fall in love with it and understand that it is a lifestyle that you have to live. And it's so amazing. It's so good. But I think that the first year or the first 2 years, you can first test and try and see if it's something for you. Because going back to the comment from Matt, like, I think that you should definitely be an alpha woman to be a trader, because I'm an alpha woman too. You have to have these characteristics. Yeah, an alpha woman is a woman that has a lot of mental strength and can handle a lot. And many people might say, okay, I don't have the mental strength, so I can't try. No, you can build mental strength. And the way to build the mental strength is to get out of your comfort zone and challenge yourself. And it's going to be difficult, but you're going to be very thankful to yourself when you achieve the results. So it's just about getting out there, trying it out, give it all, and don't give up. If you feel that that it's something that you like and you burn for, then just stick to it, and you're gonna see the results earlier or later.
Powerful. And I like the fact that you said something that I've always said myself, and I noticed it myself about trading, is that trading is a tool for self-improvement. You are forced to be introspective. You're forced to understand all of your I guess skeletons in your closet. You have to confront them. You have to confront who you truly are. You have to confront your fears, and you have to find a way to use those as fuel or as a tool. For example, we've discussed things like revenge trading or trying to be right. Yeah, the ego is confronting the ego and seeing, right, when does my ego get triggered, and understanding again where in the past or where around my life, my current circumstances, does that ego get triggered. And so what I notice as well from what you ladies are saying is that you practice patience when you are with your children, just as you practice patience when you are on the charts. So and it's something that I always live by, and that's the 3 P's: practicing perpetual presence. So whatever you schedule in your day, if you're a mom, or if you're a dad, or if you're a single parent, or you don't have kids, whatever you schedule in your day, whether it's in another job, whether at the gym, whether on the charts, is practicing presence in that moment. And that in itself is a skill, to be present. And so a couple of tips on how to be present is trying to reduce the distractions. Okay, so for me personally, I've learned not to trade when I'm around my daughter. I've tried it. It doesn't work. I just cannot focus. And so for me, I have to find the time where I've literally had to build my own office outside of the actual home so that I can just focus. I can't do it in the living room. I've tried it. It's just not possible. So it's just adapting and understanding. But yeah, it's true what you say. And trading is a tool for self-improvement. If you want to really discover yourself, if you want to really become that alpha woman or that, top high performing trader, you're forced to really understand yourself. So Anna, where can people find you, and any final words before you have to jump off?
I'm on forex trades on Instagram. I have as well a YouTube channel with the same name, and I just opened my Twitter. So this is gonna be the first stream on my Twitter. I'm planning to become more active there. Before, I wasn't active on any social media, so I was just hiding in my small bubble. But yeah, those are the places where you can find me, and on through TFT as well. And yeah, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to join you. It's been such an amazing experience, and I'm so happy to be here and to see these amazing women and to get in touch with them. So if there are any women that feel that they don't have support and they need to work on their mental strength, or they want to talk about female issues, they can feel free to reach out to me, and to all traders out there, not only females. If you're struggling to find profitability, if you're having hard time in this game, just don't give up, and try to understand where all this is coming from. Most of the times, it's not a technical problem. It's because technical analysis is easy to learn. For some, it takes less time. For some, it takes more time. But the real profitability comes when you start working on your on your psychology, on your inner issues that I mentioned earlier. Yeah, it's just not to give up, and believe in yourself, and have positive self-talk. That's very important.
Love that. Anna, thank you so much. It's an honor to have you. And you know what? This has been so awesome. We should all do this again. There's definitely a part two is needed. So thank you.
Thanks, Anna.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
All right. So for the next part of the podcast, I think it's time we go a little bit deeper. Let's start.
Ooh,
I
spicy.
think what I wanna, yeah, let's go a little bit deeper. We've been discussing sort of surface levels. Now let's talk about actual experiences, actual stories. I'm very, very curious. I'm sure the audience is as well about, what struggles have you had as a trader in your life, and how did you overcome them to reach the stage that you're in? So at least you've got many years in the markets. You've achieved some amazing things in your trading. What has been some of the biggest struggles, or what time in your career as a trader did you have to struggle, overcome it, and obviously move forward from it?
So I think one of the biggest struggles I had to deal with initially was holding trades too long. I don't know if it was optimism bias or confirmation bias of seeing what you want to see. So, it's great when that trade does end up working out, but if you're not following your risk, then it's not going to help you. It's not going to protect your account and whatnot, right? So I think the reason, honestly, why it originally started happening, well, one was being a little bit of a perfectionist and whatnot, and I was having a higher win rate, so I was a little bit overconfident in those trades. But besides that, it was just like when I had studied some of the trades that I had got stopped out on, I actually ended up, those trades would go back to TP later. And then also it's like I'm practicing confirmation bias because I'm ignoring the fact of how much it went, if I held that trade, how much drawdown it went in beforehand, or you know, how long it took to do that, right? So I was seeing what I wanted to see instead of looking at all the other information that was telling me, okay, well, if you hold this trade, you're dealing with this type of drawdown and these type of conditions. So what I started to see that would be better would be to just simply, you know, have the accepted risk on the entry on the time frame that I'm on. So basically, like, to be more specific, if I'm trading in a high time frame zone, I may have two smaller zones on the smaller time frame. So the invalidation on a small time frame setup may not invalidate the whole trade. It just invalidates that entry. Okay, so I ended up changing to doing that because basically that way I was actually protecting my account, because, you know, it works great when it does go and hit that TP, but if it doesn't, then you know, then you're dealing with a major loss. And it's like, if you're not, again, it's like your strategy and your stats that you're looking at only matter if you're actually implementing the strategy that you got those stats from, right? So I can look at my stats that show me, you know, what my risk looks like and what my win rate and all those things average out as. But it's like, if you're not implementing what you've tested, then it's not going to reflect in your stats. So, but I will say the way that got me into changing that and looking more detailed into it was the fact that of having like a really good week and then having those losses basically take out those profits. And after, you know, doing that too many times and being over it, that's when you're like, okay, I got to do something else because this is just not working. And it's really just a matter of being able to do that. But you have to be honest with yourself. And that's the only way that you're going to do well in this, is being honest with yourself about what you need to do, because the problems that you deal with only happen as long as you don't correct them or fix them. So, you know, that's the main thing that you really have to be honest with yourself about. So, you know, people that I've worked with previously, they may have many years of experience and still haven't been able to be profitable, but it's like they're telling me they're dealing with the same mistake that they've been dealing with for 5 years. It's like, well, I can't even help you with that. Like, you have to do the work to fix that. I mean, I can tell them what to do, but if they're not going to do it, that comes back to self. And people are saying that they're tired and fed up, but not changing it. It's like, well, clearly not enough, because it's not helping you. You're not fed up enough to change what you're doing. I don't say that to be like sarcastic or whatnot. I'm just saying you have to actually be fed up enough to make changes in your
Absolutely. No,
doing.
I love that. Yeah. There's a question somebody asked me recently, actually at the FX Connect event that Madison and Katie co-founded. What someone came up to me and they said to me, how do you how do you continue to have so much drive despite the setbacks, despite the struggles? How and how do you deal with, like, have, you know, the fear of failure? Because having fear of failure and then having the drive, it's almost like opposing forces, because sometimes the fear of failure overcomes and sort of casts a shadow on that drive. And so my response was like, look, you can't get rid of fear. If you understand fear, you can't really get rid of it. And for me personally, I've switched that fear, because now my biggest fear is being average, being mediocre, being who I used to be, having to go back to 9 to 5, having to have a boss, having to be just over broke, right? That is my biggest fear. And so now that fear casts a shadow on top of failure. So yeah, I still, you know, fear failure. Nobody likes to fail, but now my fear of being average is now bigger than my fear of failure. So what do I do now? I do everything I can to not be average. So I'm up at a certain time. I'm smashing the gym harder than others. I'm journaling. I'm following my trading plan with consistency. I'm understanding. I'm reviewing that journal, because I know 99% of traders, the average trader, they don't even have a journal, right? So I'm doing what the average is not. And I'm pushing myself in that uncomfortable zone constantly, because my fear is being average. And as soon as I start doing average things, I'm like, hold on a minute, there's something wrong here, Rod. You're being average. You're not average. You've already set the bar here, so make sure you maintain that. So for me, what you said, it was spot on. And I just wanted to share that, because that's what I said to this trader. I said, you got your fear of being average, of what you have now, or who you are now, needs to be bigger than
You're talking about me.
Well, the fear of failure is also basically creating that. You're already living in that, so you're already just creating your reality that you've already decided that you're in. Maybe just think of the possibilities and try to at least focus on that. I know like negative self-talk is something that's hard for a lot of people to get past because it's a lifelong thing. But then you also like getting even deeper into that. A lot of the negative self-talk we have isn't even from ourselves, it's from projections from other people. And we, internalize it, and then we become that, right? So, a lot of it, I think you really have to analyze your own thoughts and where that's really coming from. That's what you really have to work with.
Absolutely.
A lot of those doubts are coming from other people, and then you're just becoming that. So you basically fight against it and believe in yourself.
Yeah. So I want to introduce everybody, because someone had just sneaked in a couple of minutes ago, has been quiet as a mouse. But in fact, I want to introduce everyone to Jessica Ramos. Hello, Jessica. How are you?
Hi.
Hey.
You guys have been doing such a good job. I'm so happy that we're able to like sit here and talk. Everyone here is awesome. So thank you so much for having me on this panel. Like, I really appreciate it. And y'all know, like, I love Elise. So shout out to Elise and Mads. I've been able to meet Mad and Katie from Elise on Twitter. So thank you.
Wow. That's so cool. It's an honor to have you as well, Jessica. And just want to introduce everybody to you. So Jessica is a seasoned trading educator, and she specializes in stock options and forex. With over 6 years of experience and 4.5 years of teaching, she has become a respected figure in the industry. So Jessica, you were listening in because I saw your comments earlier. What, in terms of what has been discussed already, what would you like to say to the female audience that's listening, or in fact the audience that's listening? What would you like to say about?
Yeah, sure. I think someone came in late because I asked about juggling parenthood, and I think the ladies really did have good responses. I don't know if you saw my cheering responses to what you said, because it was so on point, especially Madison. Like, it really is a test of patience being a mother of two. I have two boys, and they're rambunctious, and my oldest is autistic, and I, just like Elise, I went through my trading journey while dealing with my son's autism. So while not knowing what was going on, going to specialists, having him get kicked out of schools, I mean, literally, I tried to trade during the most difficult time of my life, and they're almost 2 years apart. So it's not easy. My advice, because I get straight to the point, you guys, my advice for mothers that have young ones, I think swing trading, in all honesty, is the best way to go. That's what I did as someone on the East Coast. I trade primarily GBP AUD, and I would have my setups during Asian session. I would put my orders in, my TP, my stop loss, and my trades would play out by the time I had to go pick up my kids and take them to their next doctor appointment or whatever. So as far as like a trading solution for that, I know a lot of people want to trade every day, and that may work for some. In my case, that was just not happening. So I would take about 2 high probability setups. If I had time to get in another trade in between, I would maybe, like, on a smaller time frame, just get in and compound. But like, honestly, that's what I did until my kids were old enough for me to do like what Katie had said, and Elise had said, like, they spoke to their children, they educated them on what they were doing. I did the same thing with my kids. I have an 8-year-old that knows how to identify market structure. He knows about investing. I educate him on what mommy does, because he knows when I'm at my workstation, that's it. Like, I'm sitting here, I'm providing a living for us. And if you still want to go on all these fancy trips and you like me not telling you no when you want something, you better let me be able to do what I do. Now, my youngest is very persistent, a little bit more of a challenge, but like, again, like Madison said, they're tests, right? They test patience. So I have to slowly just work him into it, but he loves Roblox. And I explained to him, like, while you're designing a Roblox game, would you want mommy to come in here and start messing with your keys or start jumping around? You have to be relatable to them so they can understand it once they get to a certain age. And when you talk to them like a mature child, they don't, but you just let them know exactly what it is. Kids understand. They understand, they respect it, and they know, do not knock on that door unless it is an emergency. So from a parental perspective, that's my advice for people who have young ones. And then again, like Elise said and Katie said, their children, when they go to bed at a certain time, they're trading at, like when their kids are not trading, or obviously not, excuse me, when they're not awake. So I think that knowing your schedule, and the biggest sacrifice is going to be sleep. So you either are going to sacrifice it, even though we need sleep, but you're either going to sacrifice it and get to your goals, or you can sit there and get your 10, 12 hours of sleep and wonder why you're not where you need to be and everybody else is moving forward. So it's at the end of the day, you need to look within and look at yourself and push yourself harder if you're not comfortable where you're at.
Yeah, 100%. Now I want to ask for some advice. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm the trader in my family. My wife, she has a part-time work. She does most of the parenting responsibility. What advice would you give me as a father, as a trader, in order to be more, I guess, supportive and at the same time give enough time for my trading?
Ooh, is this for me to answer? Because
Yeah, just
okay, because I was saying I can tell you, you can make sure you get her a Hand and Stone package, or what is it called, a Massage Envy package, and make sure
Okay.
she's taken care of on the weekends. You can make
Yeah.
sure dinner or food is taken care of on the weekends. You can make sure she has time allocated to go be an adult, because when you're with children all the time, you're constantly interacting with kids and you're not getting that stimulation that you need as an adult. So definitely supporting her in that aspect is very important, because as women, sometimes we feel like we're just stuck in the house and we don't get to go out, we don't get to do things, and we're still human. Like, we don't want to go party, but we still want to feel like we have a life. So I think supporting her and sacrificing maybe a weekend or two, out of the month, just saying, like, you know what, go do you, whether it's going to the mall, going to the park, whatever it is, go do something that you need to do. I got the kids, I got the house. And that could be you hiring a maid or whatever it is, so that when she comes home, you look good. But I have a partner that does that for me, and he helps with my kids. He cooks, like, he's an amazing cook, even though I love to cook, but he helps me with the food and makes these extravagant dinners for me, just so that I can feel like I'm going out somewhere or at a restaurant. Those are things that, especially as female traders who are mostly alpha, we need that. We need that. We have a soft side, and we need that complemented by our partner.
Wow, I love that advice. I'm taking notes. Kyle, hope you're taking notes, bro.
Yeah,
That's real advice.
I gotta cook tonight.
No, that's important. I honestly, I don't think I do enough. And I think what you said about having it scheduled in advance, that way I'm committed to it. That way, at least my wife knows, okay, I've got this to look forward to. Because what she does at the moment, she says, Friday 21st, I'm going out.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just put it in your diary right now. So it's like it's coming from her, right? It's not coming from me. I think that I'm definitely going to take
No,
that
we
advice
need
on
that.
board.
We need that. And if you
Yeah,
can
give her
dedicate,
set up that time in advance. I love that.
yeah,
Like,
and if
for
you
her.
can, yeah, I'm sorry. If you can dedicate yourself to your charts, you can dedicate yourself to your wife. It's that simple. So, like,
Wow.
if you are sitting there and giving more time, and I've learned this from my kids begging for my attention, because I realized I was like, I'm obsessed with what I do. And I realized I was kind of just neglecting them. And it took my boyfriend to have to tell me, like, if you can sit there and dedicate your time for your students or for what you do, like, you can make time for us. And it was a harsh reality, but you know what? It's the truth. So you just have to do it. You're not missing out on anything. You just have to do it. And at the end of the day, your family they're going to be the only ones that are there for you until you leave this earth. So you better make sure they're a priority.
Yeah, I mean, I can't speak to like having kids or anything, but I think having a balanced life is so important to just being a good trader, because at times when I become really obsessed and I'm just sitting in front of the screens, like my performance actually suffers, because that's all I'm thinking about, and the setups actually, I might be seeing a setup on the screen, but it's not actually a great setup. It might be off hours or something. So I guess having that balance off the charts is so important. Like you have to get away from the screens, and it's so hard because it's so easy to access. Like you could just literally look at your charts on your phone wherever you're at, right? So you kind of have to make time to separate yourself from work, right?
100%, 100%. And I think that have again, it's that trying to find that balance. But what you just said was spot on, Carl, because I live by the philosophy of less is more. And so if your time on the charts is limited and it's specific, you go in with an intention. And what if you see your setup, then you have a process for it. If you don't see your setup, then you should have a process for that. But at the same time, there needs to be scheduled time for things outside of trading, because it's if you're what Mark Douglas famously said, consistency begins in the mind. And for me to be consistent in my mind, I need to be consistent with my duties as a husband, my duties as a father, and that will reflect on my duties as a trader. And I find that my trading actually improves when I fulfill those duties with my family. And the whole point I got into trading, the big pitch I gave my wife, and I was like, listen, I'm going to be a trader so I can spend time with you, give you the life of your dreams. I'll be the greatest father. And then she just reminded me, like, we don't even see you. Like, we live under the same roof, but you're not there. You're not present. So it's actually understanding, not just understanding the importance of consistency outside of the charts, so that when you are on the charts, you have a very limited time. Be efficient with it, because then when the time's up, when it's time for the kids, when it's time for the missus, it's time for them. And then when it's time with them, again, it's practicing perpetual presence. My phone, if I got my phone on me, my wife hates it because she knows I'm not going to be really truly present. I'm checking my alerts. I'm speaking. I'm chatting with my students. It's just not on. So, I mean, the best thing I can do when I'm with my family, my phone has to be in another room. Simple as that.
Do not disturb is going to be your best friend, especially as an educator. Students are constantly messaging me. And one thing I love about the economy team in specific, when I tell them that I am off on weekends, they respect it. Like, I could not be more grateful for one of my teams. Like, they know, like, no, if you want me to give you 100%, if you want me to be here for you mentally, you have to respect my time off. And you just have, like you said, you just have to put your foot down and remember why you're doing this.
I have all my notifications as well. That massively helps me. So all of my apps, unless it's like to do with what I'm doing, I keep them all off so I don't get distracted, because otherwise, and then I get focused, and then
well, Twitter is like nonstop going, right?
Okay,
like you have Twitter
that's definitely
over.
off, that one.
Definitely when you're trading too.
Yeah. I think it's better like that though. You just gotta like know what to focus on, because otherwise we end up going on one app and then we're locked into it and we're like half hour's been by. Then you're like stuck on that.
Facts.
Yeah, because honestly, most of our time is wasted just being distracting ourselves from actually doing what we want to do. I think it's good that you shared that with your wife, because if you share that with your children as well, they're going to hold you accountable also, right? Mommy, you said that we're going to do such and such. You're supposed to be done trading. It's like, okay, you're right. So it's okay to share, what you're doing with your family. If like telling them you want more time and then not giving them that time, they were going to hold you accountable. So which is exactly, someone in the chat was like, we try to free up our time and then we use it all up. But, we do love what we do also, right? So we are a little bit obsessed with it and we want to improve and we want to do well with it. But I think, time organization is something that just really has to be done so that you're actually getting everything done, or it's just going to be crazy. So, because I was not really organized, and honestly, it's something that I still work on. I'm not going to pretend that I'm perfect with it, because I'm not perfect to it every single day, but I do my best to improve on it continually, because I see how much it helps me when I am able to stay on top of everything. So it's just a continual progress.
Do you ladies have any resources or any books that you recommend when it comes to time management, organization? Like
I absolutely
what
do.
resources have really had a sort of massive impact
I'm
in
pull it
that?
up right now and make sure I tell you the right name.
Okay.
The Power of Now.
The Power of Now, yeah.
Living in the present. And it helps
I'm
you
gonna
like
find it.
just
Hold on.
focus on the moment. That's what I was gonna add. That's my
No
favorite
BS
book.
Time Management for Entrepreneurs by Dana S. Kennedy.
Nice.
It
If
is
someone can write that
amazing
down in the
book.
chat.
Yeah. Okay. Wait, let me do that.
We can add it in the description afterwards too.
Okay, I'll type it here and I'll let you put it over
Okay.
there.
Yeah, for me, one of my biggest things that were holding me back was my organization. So and I needed to sort it out. For me, it was Getting Things Done by David Allen. It teaches you a complete time management system, and yeah, that book is a game changer. So it's like essentially you have an inbox where everything comes in, and then from that inbox, you put it into different buckets, and so those different buckets you then prioritize them based upon the priority and another system that I learned was one massive game changer. It's both time management as well as just general business performance and effectiveness. It's by Rob Moore, and there's a one of his books called More Money, I think is what it's called. And there's a system called the VVKIK. Let me see if I can get some notes on it. So the VVKIK stands for vision, values, and let's see, here we go. So vision, let me bring it out, let me say it properly. So it's okay, hold on. So I'll start off with vision. So having a vision is essentially starting with the end in mind, and it's such a powerful practice to have, because if you don't know who you are, if you don't know what the end goal is, then you don't really have an identity to actually work towards. So having a vision of who you truly want to become it's an absolute game changer, because then once you have that vision, then you can start working backwards, and when you work backwards, then that's when you have some goals in mind, right? So to reach that identity, to reach that individual that I want to become, that means that I need to have these goals. I need to achieve these goals. But to achieve those goals, what processes, what milestones do I need to achieve? What principles do I need to live by? What values do I need to live by in order to achieve those goals? So that's the second V. So you got the VVKIK. So the next V is values. So values are so fundamental when it comes to high performance, because values are essentially what keeps you disciplined when you do the things that you know you have to do, even though you don't feel like doing it. So with trading, nobody likes really doing a trading journal. It's quite tedious, and it's quite difficult having to deal with confronting your flaws, right? And it's a bit more admin. So with that, understanding your values and really living up to those values every single day, despite not wanting to do it, it's essentially always being in the uncomfortable and learning to be comfortable with it. It's like, when I'm in the gym, for example, I push myself to my limits because my value is I got to be 1% stronger. I got to beat my previous time, or I got to beat my previous weight. So that's one of my values is that having that discipline. So I do that with everything. I do that with my trading. So if uh, I focus on, like, if I gave myself a score of let's say if I had an average score of 3 out of 5 last week on my scorecards, on my daily scorecards, and this week I'm gonna go for a 4. So it's always constantly competing with myself, because that's one of my values. So the VVK, so the K is your KPIs. So having KPIs that you measure is so important to achieve those goals. What are your KPIs? What are your KPIs as a mother, as a father, as a husband, as a wife? What are your KPIs as a trader? What is your KPIs as an entrepreneur? Having KPIs is how you measure your performance. So this system is been an absolute game changer, and I highly recommend it for you guys to apply it. I'm just trying to find I can't really find the notes that I have on it. So the VVKI, so I stands for the income generating tasks. So once you understand what your KPIs are, it's like you need to prioritize your highest income generating tasks, i.e. trading, or i.e. if you're a coach, you're coaching, or if you run multiple businesses, what are those tasks? And so focusing and prioritizing your IGTs, your income generating tasks, is so important in being organized, because then anything, understanding what your hourly value is, for example, if there are tasks where somebody else can do and you can pay them less to do it, outsource it straight away. Leverage someone else's time and someone else's skills in order for you to focus on your IGT, that being your trading. So getting yourself a cleaner, outsource that. If it costs you $15 an hour to hire a cleaner, yet for you, your average income generating target is like $100 an hour, because of the way you're performing, then you should definitely outsource that, because then instead of focusing on 2 hours of cleaning every day, you've got more time, you've doubled your time. So understanding your IGT and prioritizing that every day is absolutely key. So in terms of values, what values do you ladies live by in life and in trading, and how do you apply those values?
Who's going first?
I'll just say my main one is keeping my word to myself and whatever it is. So whether that's getting out the trade, getting in the trade, I feel like your confidence your confidence increases when you're keeping your word to yourself, because that helps build your trust. If you don't trust yourself in the trades, then you're not going to do well. So I like to keep my word to the things that I say the best I can, because it helps build my confidence and my trust with myself. And that's with all things. So that's the same as if I said I'm gonna hit my steps today, I need to hit my steps today, just whatever it is.
Yeah, that's massive.
I think my biggest one, which yay. Yeah, my biggest one is just being real with myself and everyone else. So especially in the trading world, we have a lot of people that just aren't very real about trading in general, the process of trading, the risk of trading, the emotions of trading. And I always say it, but there's a lot of clout in this industry, and it's so sad. So I think, yeah, just being real, that's my main value.
Yeah, massive. We've just been joined by Victoria Duke. Tori,
Hey,
are you here? How you doing?
Hi guys, good morning.
Morning.
Hey.
Nice to have you. So I want to introduce everyone to Tori. So Tori's been trading since 2015 under the tutelage of her uncle. So since she's created and built her own brand, she holds major influence over the trading space and is here to inspire up and coming traders. So welcome, Tori. And what we've been discussing today, we've touched on topics on dealing with drawdown, knowing your emotions, what triggers those emotions. We even got into topic of being a mother and dealing with the responsibilities of being a mum and a trader. So there is an audience here of obviously both male or female traders, but I think I would like to know, in your experience, what has been your struggle as a trader, as a woman, and what kind of techniques and methods do you have in order to overcome these struggles?
Okay, so there's so many struggles. I mean, you guys know there's so many. We could probably list easily 100 today. Well, but I guess we'll prioritize and say which ones are the hardest. Also, thank you for the introduction, and it's so exciting seeing you girls on this stream here. This is so cool. I apologize for being late. It is 8:30 my time. I'm in Central Time right now, but so I would say some of the hardest struggles that I have, and sometimes it changes. Maybe it could be just what I'm feeling now, but I want to say, to touch on the being a woman in the trading influencer space, or just even in the trading space, what's the hardest struggle? And I got the opportunity to go visit my uncle in Jacksonville right after the Miami summit, and we actually talked a little bit about this, and it was really neat. And he had some interesting perspective. And you know, if I had a little bit more statistics, and I just don't currently, but I would truly be fascinated to hear. Yes, there is such a small percentage of women that trade, but what does that profitability look like? What does that discipline look like within that small percentage? And then the next thing is, why is the percentage so small? And it could be, very similar to, these other industries that men are in that are just male dominated. And there could be some reasons as to, yes, why there are not many women. I mean, you could think of construction or things that take, a lot of strength, or maybe that's something a woman wouldn't really want to be in. But as far as me trying to figure out how that fits with finance, I'm like, okay, well, this isn't something that you have to exert your strength to show. Is it because it's intimidating? So that's some things that I'm truly trying to really dive deep into and figure out, why is it so male dominated, and why can't we get more women in this? And we could probably sit down and figure out, a bunch of different scenarios, but that's something that's been on my mind lately, just figuring out what is it that's keeping us from wanting to join this space or be successful in it? Because
Ooh.
we have nothing holding us back. It's not a it's so that's been the main thing for being a female in the industry. And then as far as just trading itself, oh gosh, it's having resentment towards the market. It's thinking that your strategy is not the strategy, and going looking for the secret sauce and what is it, and trying too many different strategies. So having the confidence in your strategy is huge across the entire board. I'd say those are my biggest things.
Yeah, and like I brought up earlier on the stream that, as females, I mean, just being a profitable trader in general, we're such like an anomaly, right? And then being a profitable female trader is even more of an anomaly. Like, did you find that having your uncle to lean on when you were going through those rough periods was extremely helpful? Because I asked Madison, I asked Katie, I asked everybody on the panel, like I'm sure it's extremely hard to find other female traders in the space to lean on. Like, I would assume that most female traders are not going to go try and lean on a male. Because maybe they're intimidated by it or whatever the case is. Like, did you find that was such a huge boost in like your confidence, having somebody close to you that was like kind of mentoring you?
I would say 100%. If I hadn't had a family member, which, I can have trust in and not feel intimidated, and know that they want to teach me solely for the purpose of seeing me be successful, that was great to have someone. And I think I got to be honest, maybe I can even attribute 100% of my success to having a mentor as a family member that I could truly trust and rely on and lean on and ask for. My aunt did get into trading a little bit too, his wife. So there were times where I could, go to her for advice as well. But for the most part, the strategy itself and the struggles that I've gone through, I got to attribute so much of that to just being able to lean on my uncle. So yes, you're exactly right.
So does your aunt trade still, or no? Does she kind of give it up?
She has done it more of a hobby. When she's in the mood, she'll like dabble in gold a little bit. She has kind of taken everything that my uncle has taught her, and oddly enough, she has a very different way of thinking of trading than my uncle does. So my uncle is more of the trend line trader type. When trends get broken or when they're following along trends, he's in it. And my aunt has noticed that she thrives in a ranging market and, loves selling at the high points and buying at the low points and trading within the range and setting herself very small but tangible daily goals. So she's got a very different way of looking at it, which is the coolest also. But she doesn't do it enough or as often for me to truly be able to get as much insight as I'd like.
Interesting. So I want to start transitioning over to our amazing audience. There's been a lot of love and support from everyone in the audience. So thank you all. There has been some questions since the beginning of the stream. And I want to address those questions. So thank you for all those who have been massively patient. We got a question here from the funded mum, and her question is: anyone ever suffer from having an account but failing to trade it, either by being hesitant or just afraid of losses? So raise your hand if you want to answer that question. Go ahead, Jessica.
I think it's actually, I was going to say something because Tori said something that was really good. And she asked like why women do not get into this industry. Number one, it's because we worry about security, and losing money is something that is really hard for women to deal with. That's just what it is. It does take a different personality, an alpha female, to be able to understand those losses and have that competitive nature within that is not too egotistical, but enough to get them where they need to go. So as an educator for many years, I can tell you most of my private students are women, and it's all because of their fear of that losing that security of their finances that prevents them from taking it to the next step. That is why I think women do not jump into the trading industry as much as men. Men are a little bit more risk takers, and they handle fear accordingly when that does, like, they'll just handle it when it comes. Like, some are analytical, but most of them just handle it as it comes. So with the funded mom's question, I think that this is a matter of not testing your strategy enough and not collecting enough data on what it is that you're doing. Because just like Elise said earlier today, whether it's a 0.01 lot size and you're implementing it or not, you have to be able to push that button. Otherwise, all the studying that you've been doing has gone to trash. Like, pretty much, you've just wasted your time. And I want to believe that's not why you're doing this. So you have to, number one, go ahead and analyze your trades, document your emotions, just like Anna said earlier, see what it is. And my advice to all these traders out here is you should be, and please write this down. Sorry, the educator's coming in, but you should find out what time your pair or your ticker is moving. What time does it typically give an entry? What's the average true range of that ticker? How long does it take for your trades to play out? And what type of exit strategy? Does it hit your market structure? Does it hit your Fibonacci levels? Does it hit your next zone? If you start to document these things about your trades, you will be more selective on the setups that you take. Your documentation on your journaling and your emotions are going to be more effective, and you're going to know what is a probability setup and what is not. So you'll determine, like, okay, you know what? This doesn't look like what I've been studying. I know this likes to give me this. I know this gives me a retest, or this gives me a breakthrough, or whatever it is. I'm not taking the trade unless I get it. So as you have more confirmations with your trading strategy, this fear that you're feeling right now should start to dissipate, because like, you have so much data to back up your strategy that your loss is not going to be so hurtful or so painful, because you've had enough wins under your belt under it, obviously with proper risk management. But you have to you have to put in the work. There's no shortcut. Sorry, that's it.
Oh, so I have a
Great.
question for you though. I mean, do you have any male students that you're teaching? Like,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So do you find that they're more stubborn in like, or they're not less receptive in some of the advice that you're giving? Because for me, I'm extremely
Yes.
stubborn. So if somebody's telling me to do something, even when I was working with Rodrigo, like he was telling me to do something, it was like my natural response is like, no, I'm going to do it this way. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, because especially if they come from another education platform. So they'll tell me they learn from these people that are the best, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, okay, but at the end of the day, you're paying me. So I
Yeah.
don't care who you learned from, and no disrespect to them, but you're here for a reason. I'm here to help you with what it is that you're having an issue with. So there's no point in paying me if you're not going to be open to receiving the constructive criticism. Otherwise, you're going to be in the same place that you were a couple months ago, and then you're going to talk crap about how you paid me and it didn't work. But in actuality, it's your inability to like be accountable with yourself and not allow yourself to receive this constructive criticism to help you become better. So like at the end of the day, trading is a reflection of you. If you're not disciplined every morning to get up, like the lady said earlier, your trading is going to it's going to be the same thing. If you don't have a plan on your trades, or in life, you're not structured, your trading is going to be the same way. But yeah, men will typically try, they will be very, very strong when they deal with me, but then I always crack them. And I always improve their trading. So I know that like it's a matter of me, like I'm from the Bronx. I keep it real and I'm like, look, if you want, you can have your money back. I don't have time for this. Like I have other people that want to learn. Either you're going to do what I say, I don't care what experience you have or not. Do what I say so that I can make you better, or stop wasting our time, because we're not going to have a who's a better trader or who's, you know what I mean? Like, I don't have time for that. I have time to educate and to help you grow. You winning makes me look good. So if you're not going to sit there and meet me halfway, you're about to make me look bad. And I'm not about to ruin my reputation for that. And that's what I tell them straight up. I keep it real with them. Like, and I think a lot of people that know me will be like, look, Jess does not play. And it's just, I just don't have time to be sweet and cute and coddle anyone. Like, either we're doing this or
I feel like that's a New York trait, like New York stand up.
Love that. So there's another question here from Marie. So question here, I'm going to ask Mads to answer this one. How you ever went through with close people not believing in you? And if yes, how did you deal with it? So that, do you understand the question?
Yeah. First of all, I'm going to say it's so hard because the people that don't believe in you usually are the people that are super closest to you, which it's hard to deal with. But I think you have to kind of just take it as, it's not that they don't believe in you, it's just that they are programmed to live a certain way. And as traders, we obviously, to be a trader, we don't think like the rest of the population. Like the traders that I've met recently, we all kind of have the same views on like the government or COVID or things of that kind of nature. And I think when the people closest to you don't see things the same as you do, they just automatically have that thing where they're like, well, trading isn't normal. Like, it's not a normal thing to do. The normal thing to do is go out and get a job and work for someone else. So I think you kind of have to take it as, not that they don't believe in you as such, but just that they're kind of, it's not normal for them. So they don't know any different to be able to believe in you. So because it's so far out of the norm, they don't really understand it, and so they can't believe in you, if that kind of makes sense. But I think you have to kind of take it as that it's more of a protection thing rather than believing, like, I don't know, for example, your mom or your partner, like, you don't want to believe that they don't believe in you, because those are the people that you're doing it for 9 times out of 10. So I think, you just have to kind of internalize it as they're looking out for you and they're like wanting to protect you, rather than taking it as like they just really don't believe in you. Because I think if you internalize it as the fact that they don't believe in you, then you'll kind of stop believing in yourself, and you'll start the whole like self-sabotage route. So I think you just have to kind of, you internalize how they're responding to what you are doing, and you've just got to keep going as well. Like, I'm not going to swear, but I would want
Feel
to.
free to
But
swear.
Please, it sounds good with the accent. Go for it.
well, what I'm going to say is fuck them. You have to you just got to keep going. Like, you can't internalize anyone else's thoughts on what it is that you're doing. Like, literally, fuck what they think. Like,
Yeah.
you've just
Like,
got
Elise
to
brought
take
it
that
up
strength and
earlier.
believe in yourself.
Elise brought it up earlier with like the self-talk, right? When a lot of people are projecting their ideas of you, right? But you're
Yeah,
kind of
it's the
internalizing that. You
self-fulfilling
kind of
prophecy.
become that. Like, I experienced that with my father. Like, he was very negative towards me, and he was calling me lazy and stuff. And like, I just assumed I was lazy. You know what I mean? Even though I really wasn't. I just wasn't doing the things I wanted to do. So when it comes to doing things I actually wanted to do, I was putting a lot more work into it. It's just, I'm not, I'm not lazy though, but it becomes like a self-fulfilling prophecy for them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
100%.
it's based on your validation too of their things, right? So you can even have the opposite spectrum where people are believing in you and you're doubting yourself, right? So
Yeah.
it always comes back to what you believe, regardless of anybody else outside of you. So that's what you have to work on and focus on the most.
Yeah, 100%. And I think also, obviously, like when it comes to family, you can't choose your family. Like, you can't choose your mom and your dad. But when it comes to friends, you can 100% choose them. And I think, like I always say, like, I have the most supportive friends ever. And if you're not supporting me, then like I'm not gonna talk to you. Do you know what I mean? So all of my friends, literally, like, I have my one friend Cara. She's literally always telling me, like, the yacht. You know, the yacht, the yacht that you're gonna have. Like, she literally is manifesting this yacht for me. And having those type of people around you that really, really, truly believe in you, even when you're having those days, like when you just don't, because as humans we have those days where we're like, am I doing enough? Am I really gonna make it? You need to make sure that you have those people around you to hold you up on those days where you don't feel great.
100%.
That's my
I want
Elise.
to add
I
to
love
that
you, girl.
as well. Can I add to that as well?
Yeah,
I
go
wanted
ahead,
to add to
Katie.
that. Sorry, my hay fever is killing me, so I'm probably going to keep it short. I was just going to say, and also separating yourself from wanting people to believe in you is major, because trading is very lonely, and the friends you make are normally people that are in the same industry as you, because they're going to have the same mindsets as you, as like Mad said, and are amazing, like the ones I have, obviously, because I don't have anyone around me that's negative or unsupportive. But like Mad said, like, it's your family that normally don't understand, and it's just because trading is such a, like, you'd think it's a scam unless you're actually genuinely in the markets and making money. You would look at it and think it's a
Big up,
scam,
Kyle.
especially the way I came into it. The English banter. I came in it like the whole like marketing pyramid scheme of thing. Everyone just thinks, okay, you're not going to be doing this in a year, but then when they see you later down the line, they're like, oh, like, this stuff's actually real, and then people want to start supporting you. So I think always remember, like, you don't need anyone to support you. You need to support yourself, because that's key.
Exactly.
That's what I need to add.
Yeah, so like my mentor, like he's brought this up before. If you guys could go back and I guess rewrite your trading journey, would you tell anybody around you that you're actually trading, or would you just stay isolated, keep it yourself?
Myself.
You know what? I think, yeah, I would, because I think, as I don't know, like, again, maybe it's an ego thing, but I think it's so fucking cool. Like, we literally sit at our computers and make money. Like, even when you're at the beginning, like, the fact that you are pursuing something like this, and obviously at the beginning you don't understand the mental strain of it until you're actually into it. But I think it's so cool. Like, I love telling people that I trade, and I know a lot of people are like, they don't like telling people they trade, like, and then they get loads of questions. I love it because it's so out of the norm. And I don't know, maybe it's an ego thing. I don't know, but I love it. I love telling people I trade.
He's the alpha in the group.
Yeah.
I think someone had a question for Elise, right?
Yeah,
Someone
there was
did.
a question specifically from Logic Thinker: how you handle over trading, especially trading one session New York, for example, losing a trade and immediately entering a new trade, then losing almost 4 or 6 times in one session. So it's essentially about over trading.
Yeah, and revenge trading probably.
Right. Well, it sort of goes back a little bit to what I was saying about before. I'm getting in trades if my setup is still there, and that's pretty much it. What you can do is maybe decrease your risk as you are doing it, and then maybe start to add up larger positions once the trade is playing out. That's something I've done, because as I started trading larger accounts, we had to add multiple positions anyways. So I kind of started doing that where I went in with lighter positions. As the trade starts to play out, then I'll go in a little bit heavier once it's confirmed that it's going well. But you have to have it set based off your, like, you know yourself, right? And you know when you need to stop trading. So some people have the rule of losing a certain amount of trades, they stop. I don't have that rule because I will win a lot of times after that. So but I do have it set based off risk. So once my risk is hit, then I have to be out and come back the next day regardless, because I've hit my risk that I'm allowed to take. And that's just based off the fund that I trade with. You hit that risk, you have to be out, or you're going to risk not being, trading there anymore pretty much. So, but in order to be able to do that, I'm also not taking the full risk every single trade, or I lose one and I can't trade anymore, which seems obvious. So for me, the way to do that was to go in lighter initially. And the times where I do use full risk or go in heavier are on really good setups and really good trades. But that's obviously not necessarily what you're referencing here, because you're talking about, when you're losing and basically over trading after that. But if you're making emotional decisions after that and you're not getting in based off the setup, that's when you need to stop trading. That's the easy answer, is that you're not getting in anymore based off technicals, based off the information, based off stats. You're literally just trying to keep making it up. You're basically doing martingale, and it only works if the trade works. And then when it doesn't, you just keep, making your losses bigger and bigger. You have to have a stop out point, and if not, then you're going to continue to blow accounts until you learn that lesson. But I mean, I've heard people do extreme things as much as, delete their MetaTrader when they're done and relog in every single day, or go away from their phone. Whatever it is that works for you, do that. I mean, that may sound extreme. I don't need to necessarily do that, but I don't want to limit the things that you can do, because whatever needs to be done, then you need to do it.
It seems like a hassle to like uninstall and reinstall MetaTrader 4 every time. I wouldn't want to do that.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to do that because I hate having to log in onto
you never know. It may not be available the next day on your Apple Store.
Right. Well, I mean, maybe just like put the phone down and make yourself actually go away. But you have to practice discipline. It's ultimately going to come back to that. And so if you need it again, you can also decrease your risk with each position. People do the opposite and increase it. And it's like, okay, well, if you're already losing, you have less risk to use, not more, if you're following a percentage. So, but again, you have to be able to actually act on that. So
I agree.
Your statistics will always tell you what you need to know, and you have to go back to the stats. And you can keep making those decisions, but your stats are going to keep telling you that you're making poor decisions, and it's up to you to change the strategy. And that's why when I talked about me holding trades too long, I was very specific about how I changed and implemented change with that, because that's what I had to do to fix it.
Facts. So I've got a question here about daily routine. So let's go around the round table that we have here. What does your daily routine look like? So we'll start off with Jessica.
Okay, well, I'm a mom, so I have a kid that has an entrepreneur mindset at the age of 10 and wakes up at 5 o'clock every morning. He does.
5 a.m. club.
5 o'clock every morning. He practices. He's either reading or making his beats or something. He's doing something. So wow. I'm up pretty early, handle breakfast, all that good stuff, get them situated for school. I'm really big on positive affirmations. Really, really big on that. And you probably may not be able to see it, but I have my yoga mat here behind me, my weights, just in case if I can't go to Pilates class or the gym. So I will sit. I believe in meditation 100%. It has changed my life. If I have to be honest with you, I have a very chaotic mind, and I deal with the worst anxiety in the world. So it took a very amazing friend to introduce this to me, and listening to binaural beats. So I will play binaural beats while I'm meditating, and I will sit there and tell the universe what I want and what is going to happen. And every time I have done this, I have an amazing week. If I do not do this, my week is out of whack, which I have learned. And the tongue is such a powerful manifestation tool that like I have to, like, I tell myself, you're going to have a great week. If the setup is not there, you don't take it. Like, you are only going to give me great setups. I am only going to see great setups. I'm not going to be sitting at my desk waiting for something to come. I'm going to put my alerts and I will trade what comes to my my charts, because I chart up every Sunday, you guys. So every Sunday I trade stock options. But even for my forex team, I mark up all my charts for the week, my swing charts. I do all of that on Sunday. So I'm ready for the week. I don't sit there and try to chart on, even though I don't trade on Mondays and Fridays, I still do it on Sundays. So I'm prepared just in case if the market wants to do like something great on Monday, I have my levels and I'm good to go. But manifestation is so, so, so important. Whether it's praying, whether you believe in the universe, whatever your faith or belief is, you have to tell yourself you are great and that you're going to learn from the experiences that you are going to have for that week. And you are not going to take them personally. It is not a reflection of who you are as an individual. It's just what you need to work on, what you need to improve, and identifying your strengths as well. And that's it. So that's what I do. That's all I do. And I do Pilates too. But like,
Nice.
that's my routine.
It's amazing. What about yourself, Elise? What is your optimal trading routine?
Mine's very systematic. Wake up at 6:30, daughter on the bus by 7:20. I'm preparing to trade. That 40 minutes is just me preparing. And that varies. It's not the same every single day. That can be similar to what she was talking about, preparing myself mentally. It could be charting. It could be literally just having tea and relaxing my mind. Because most of the time I'm not anxious, but if I'm being honest, fully, after my mom had passed, I became a little bit more anxious because things felt a little bit more out of my control, I guess. And so I was dealing with that for a period of time. So I had to deal with trying to like be in a flow state before I was trading. So a lot of that is preparing my mind in whatever type of way. And sometimes I literally is just having a tea and relaxing before I'm trading and making sure I'm in the right place to trade. But then I'm trading from 8 to 10:30, and then personal training, come back home, my daughter's off the bus, play with her, get her to bed, do some studying. My workouts, yeah, I already said that was in there. And then repeat.
Rinse and repeat. Love that.
Yeah, I mean, my trading times are very specific. I'm, 8 a.m. gold, 9:30, US 30. It's very, very systematic at this point.
And what kind of evening routine do you have that sort of prepares you for the next day? Do you have anything specific?
Most of my time that I have with my family are with my workouts and stuff. But I've been working really hard lately with a personal trainer, but it's really just to help me also. I mean, it helps you when you're trading as well. A lot of times, we're never pushing ourselves like to a level. We only push ourselves to a level that we think we can achieve. And sometimes having a personal trainer that pushes you beyond your comfort, then you can kind of apply that to other things. And a lot of it is getting comfortable again in discomfort. But I know I've always understood that the limitations are only in the mind. So I'll find different ways of pushing myself and getting uncomfortable, even if that also means learning new things. So I've also been taking on like a lot of new hobbies or things. So, I eventually want to start learning different types of music, different types of languages, and really just doing little lessons here and there at a time. And it just continues to keep my brain sharp. I mean, I still have to learn to play chess. I know that's I'm hiding of embarrassment, but I've never learned to play chess. I mean, I played Texas Hold'em poker and other things like that, but I just always continue to want to learn. And that also includes with trading. I still study trading. I still learn things all the time. So people will get to a certain level and think they don't have to learn anything new. And that doesn't mean necessarily that I'm trading, like changing my strategy as much as I'm just learning different attributes of great traders and being able to implement that myself.
Yeah, that was awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Got a question here from a really good question actually from Samuel Speaks. Question is, if you could all go back into time and change one thing about your trading journey, what would that be and why? So Katie, go ahead.
I need to jump off in a minute anyway, so I'm going to just quickly say something. Daft of it is scammers or people that are actually making money through other revenues and they're trying to use it as trading. Focus on your own journey and just believe in yourself and make sure you write your goals down and you stick to all your goals, your trading goals, your personal goals, because that will make you become the best trader that you can be.
Amazing. Thank you, Katie. And if you need to shoot off, please do at any time. And thank you so much. It's been an honor to have you.
Yeah, thank you, Katie.
Yeah,
I hope
gotta
you
go
feel
do the school
better.
run. So thank you guys, and yeah, hopefully we'll do a part 2 soon. Thank you guys, and it was lovely to
100%.
meet you
Bye.
ladies as well.
Yes, likewise.
Take care.
Bye.
Amazing. What about you, Mads? What would you, if you could go back in time, what would you change and why?
Honestly, nothing. I really believe that everything happens for a reason. And I don't think like some of the roller coasters that I've had to go on through this journey, some of the like personal things that I've had to go through in life, I wouldn't be who I am now, and I wouldn't be the trader that I am now. So honestly, there's nothing that so boring. I'm sorry for a really boring answer, but there literally is nothing that I would change because I wouldn't be who I am and where I am now.
Love that response. So we're going to start wrapping things up. We're hitting the sort of final parts of the podcast, and it's been super interesting and inspirational. You ladies have come with the gems, the knowledge bombs. I really appreciate every single one of you. The comments from those the audience, you've been so supportive. So continue to support the Trader Around the podcast, smash that like button, and also subscribe. If you want to reach out to any of these amazing queens of the industry, all the links are shared in the description on YouTube. And so they've got social links and all the links are on their link trees, etc. So please do reach out to them. There's been a few comments of, where can we find a female trading community? That's really if you ladies have any community for female only traders, please do mention that. But yeah, any final words from everybody?
For anyone that wants a female trading community, we've actually started one on Telegram. I think Jess and Elise, you're both in it, aren't you, on the Telegram one?
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow.
So yeah, if anyone wants to join that, just drop one of us a message and we'll send you the link for that.
If you drop the link to it in the private chat, Kyle can then post it into the into the chat. So
I can forward it to my wife.
You still need to tell her to reach out to me.
No, yeah. It's lacking.
But no, I think we need to do this more often. It's been so great to talk to women about trading. I'm sick of men.
We'll let you guys host it then next time.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah, I don't have an all-female trading community. I welcome anybody that wants to learn, that doesn't have a big ego, and that's willing to help others. I'm really big about just help, like just genuine help. That's it. So that's it. You get what you get online, unless you got to pay me to be a part of my communities. But I do have a free trading course if anyone wants, access to that. But at the end of the day, like, I try to help as many people as I can publicly on social media.
Yeah, and now we appreciate you, Jessica. The comments about you here have been awesome. You got a lot of support out there from
Thanks,
the audience. Elise, Madison, Katie, Tori, Anna, thank you so much for joining us at the Trader Roundup podcast. It's live, so we've had a few technical issues, but this is how we do things. It's authentic. We get to speak to the audience get to interact with us because we live such busy lives. So I really do appreciate your time. I understand how valuable time is. So and again, the value you've all given, I've learned a lot. I've taken some advice on board. I'm going to be booking a massage for the missus and scheduling that in at some point so she can have time with her friends.
Yes, do that.
So really appreciate that advice. It's definitely going to help me in my marriage, in my trading, so that, you know, that's what it's about. That's what Trader Runner is about, and definitely going to be a part 2. So on that note, we have I'll post over, Kai, if you can post a QR link of the Trader Roundup. If you guys want to level up, you want more information about what we do and how we do things, if you want to be involved, then scan that QR code, use the link in the description, and you'll be able to get involved in everything that we do. And on that note, thank you so much, everyone. Thanks, Kyle, for co-hosting with me today. Thanks again, ladies.
Thank you so much
Appreciate having
for the
you on.
opportunity.
Thank you.
Take
This
care.
was amazing.
Yes. Bye.
Until
Really
next time,
appreciate
guys.
you all.